Now going to Adam Kokesh, radio talk show host, TV host, investigative reporter, United States Marine Corps veteran of the Iraq War, where he was a corporal, and he joins us now. He's organizing a march for veterans supporting Ron Paul. The headline is, Ron Paul is the choice of the troops, march on the White House, and then I guess to the Capitol. Very, very exciting. Get this out to everybody, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I know we've already posted it, but I want to repost, ask one of the web guys to repost this bulletin to the front page of Infowars.com. Adam, I think that's a pretty powerful ad that the Revolution PAC put out. They're doing a great job for Ron Paul. Tell us why you're organizing this event and when it is and how folks can get involved.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for having me on, Alex, and giving me the opportunity to promote this to your audience, because I know it's something that you care so much about, and I know it's something that they care about. And I know that there are a lot of veterans and active duty troops who listen to your show who are also inspired by the message of liberty that Ron Paul shares. And that's why we're doing this, because Ron Paul is the choice of the troops. That's the name of the event. That's the message we're trying to get across. Because if this were true about any other candidate, this inconvenient little fact that he's got more campaign contributions from active duty troops than all others put together, as far as the media is concerned, the race would be over, and whoever they could say that about would have the nomination clinched. But if it's Ron Paul and they don't understand why, they're going to sweep that fact under the rug instead. And it's not despite his foreign policy. It's not, well, the Constitution, but, you know, at least Ron Paul's a veteran. No, it's because of the foreign policy that the troops overwhelmingly support Ron Paul. It's because of a constitutional, non-interventionist foreign policy. But it's really for the same reasons that any other American votes a particular way or really does anything. We're not such a distinct subculture that we're not also creatures of pragmatism. And when you're the ones with your lives on the line, when you're the ones who have to face the combat and have to face that reality and want a commander-in-chief who's going to be decisive, who's going to put America's security interest first, who is only going to send you into harm's way with a clear moral imperative, or as Ron Paul would call it, a constitutional declaration of war, you're kind of motivated to do the research, to do the homework, to look behind the illusions of the mainstream media, to see why is it that all of these other candidates are supporting this globalist foreign policy. Why are they supporting a policy that would make me a tool of the globalists? And that really inspires the troops to support Ron Paul. And while we have this beautiful statistic as to how much the active duty support him because they list their employers when they donate to the presidential campaign, we're having this event in part to show that there's a similar parallel of support within the veterans community. But also, we're inviting active duty to join us, and we have a lot of guys from active duty that are joining us for this event, which is very exciting, because we're creating an opportunity for active duty troops and veterans within their communities to reach out to each other and talk to each other about the message of Ron Paul and talk to each other about why we need to have a moral imperative and some real principle behind our foreign policy. So at noon next Monday on President's Day, we are going to be rallying at the Sylvan Theater at the base of the Washington Monument. We're going to have a series of speakers based on who has done the best job promoting this event through our YouTube video contest. So the message of this event, beyond Ron Paul is the choice of the troops, is really going to be defined by the participants. We're very excited to see that we've had over 20 video entries already, and people are really jumping on board with this to support it, because it's an event that people were waiting to happen. So at 2 o'clock, 1400 hours, we're going to be forming up in a full military formation on 15th Street, facing towards Constitution Avenue and stepping off towards the White House. Everyone in formation will be required to present proof of service, but we also invite family members and of service members to march behind us, and for supporters to line the route and to be with us at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue when we form up again in front of the White House to do an about-face and turn our backs on the president in a repudiation of his foreign policy, the foreign policy of imperialism, of globalism, of using the troops as cannon fodder, or as Henry Kissinger so famously referred to us as dumb, stupid animals to be used as pawns in foreign policy. And after turning our backs on the White House, we are going to hold a flag-folding ceremony and hold a hand salute for as many seconds as troops have died both abroad and by suicide since Obama took office. And it's going to be over half an hour. It's going to be a long salute. And it's going to be a pretty dramatic visual that we hope the mainstream media can't ignore. And if they do so at their own peril. because to ignore the troops is to ignore a voice that the American people hold so dear. And as all military regulations regarding free speech have been designed to keep the troops quiet, to keep voices of dissent silent, to keep the troops serving only as pretty backdrops for presidential speeches, or when Ben Bernanke wants to go down to Fort Hood and use the troops as political pawns, as backdrops for his economic schemes. Well, we're saying no more, not anymore. The voice of the troops will be heard, the voice of the veterans will be heard, and it will be made clear to the American people that Ron Paul is the choice of the troops on Monday, February 20th, President's Day. We really encourage people to get involved, and like I said, I'm so grateful for the opportunity.
Are you kidding? We're grateful for the work you're doing and all the veterans and currently serving active duty. They're going to be out there. And again, it won't matter if the dinosaur corporate whore media, traitor media, globalist, sellout media isn't there, Adam. The real media that's exploding is going to be there. That's why the system's rushing in, trying to start censoring us. We've just had some new behind-the-scenes attempts at censoring. I'll be announcing that later in the week or next week. But we're all under attack because we're over the target. And as that ad I played earlier said, we need to defend the Constitution here, all of us, veterans, Americans, anybody who loves liberty. But your idea is genius, to force out the fact that 70+% of the troops support Ron Paul, and that there's a hoax covering that up. Because if that fact gets out there to the general public, they'll even see the media cover up to a greater extent. And I want to get your take after the break, too. Do you agree that clearly he's the front runner? If you look at all the polls and stuff, they're just cheating Ron Paul. We'll be right back with Adam Kokesh. What we're going to do is, this is important, I've linked to it in the last few days, but I got Kurt Nemo doing a big article about this too, with all the links to Adam Kokesh's website, to the Facebook where it's being promoted, and also to the video, Adherence to the Oath, that I think is the best Ron Paul ad out there, bar none, put out by Revolution PAC. You got to give Gary Franchi credit. I mean, he's another example of people that take action, don't infight, and cover real issues can do. Most other people just get tied up in knots by Cass Sunstein cognitive dissonance type stuff. Look at him now producing better TV ads than the Ron Paul campaign is. Really getting the truth out and having a big effect. And that's why MSNBC and other trader groups, other foreign groups, not really traders, they represent foreign banks, so I guess they're not traders. They're just occupiers, are freaking out about and demonizing him for. Adam, overall, what do you think about, obviously, the point I'm making, that this is the Achilles heel here, this hoax that the troops don't support Ron Paul when it's the opposite?
It's so important to put it in their face that Ron Paul is the choice of the troops and come out with the numbers that make it undeniable to show that. I mean, I would challenge any other candidates to have a veterans organization to show this kind of support for them, to host an event like this and turn out the numbers that we're going to turn out. But that's why it's so critical, Alex, exactly because of what you just stated, that this is the most inconvenient fact about Ron Paul to the establishment. Let's put that in their faces. Let's take the most difficult thing for them to accept and force them to acknowledge that this is what the troops are seeing and that this is what the troops want. Now, when I first had this idea, this vision, I want to thank Nathan Cox, a co-founder of Veterans for Ron Paul, for helping me out with this event. But when we put this idea together, we thought if we just had a platoon-sized element, if we just had 40 guys and gals in this march, it would create the right visual, it would work. And we floated the idea around online a few different places and saw that the reaction in the Ron Paul community and the movement was just overwhelming.
No, it's got to be huge.
Yeah. No, we're gonna, like, my goal is, it's the last week, we've got less.
Well, if you have a good formation up front that goes, or a whole bunch of formations, it'll really look good.
Oh no, like I said, we got less than a week to go, so it's really this critical crunch time right now, and any help that people can give us getting the word out or donating to support the cause to help get some veterans that can't afford the travel, we really appreciate it. And the place to do that is adamversustheman.com/VFRP, Veterans for Ron Paul. But I'm pretty confident we're going to have about 500 veterans there, at least at this point. We've got 1,500 RSVP'd on Facebook. We're getting a lot of emails from active duty guys saying, well, I can't quite put my name on this thing, but I'll be there with my whole squad. I mean, it's really incredible to see.
Yeah, there should be a lot more than 500. You need to get all the motorcycle veterans groups that, are usually worshiping whatever Republicans around. They need to get out there and support Ron Paul. There needs to be 100,000 people. But regardless, it certainly illustrates the type of support Ron Paul has. Now, shifting gears, clearly now looking at all the evidence, Ron Paul's the front runner. They're stealing the election from him. he doesn't want to look like a sore loser or a bad sport, but finally he's coming out and saying they're going to contest Maine. Adam, what's your view? You've been involved in congressional races and things. What's your view of what's going on?
Well, it's, you know, I'm not surprised at all that this is happening and that they're cheating around the edges and doing what it takes. I don't think it's the kind of widespread fraud, because I saw this in, you know, I mean, and I don't mean to say that it's not having the full impact of what widespread fraud might be, but just that it's not so necessary when you have a system that so favors the establishment in the very process of determining who's going to be the nominee. And I saw this firsthand in Iowa, watching polls there, when, I mean, I actually made sure that one more vote was counted for Michelle Bachmann when she was under-tallied at that event. And that was the mistake. And it's just amazing to see how easy it is to get these mistakes. And I mean, I don't know if it's that Republican establishment, you know, party hack volunteers don't know how to count. I don't think that's always the case, but that it's such a muddled process. It's such an untransparent process. It's a process where really the whims of local party officials hold way more sway than they're supposed to, or that we would hope they would. And it's not just necessarily the fraud, but even the way that the system is set up to favor those in the establishment to be able to tilt the contest in their
the system itself has become twisted and gamed and tilted. I want to do a few more minutes with you, then I'm going to your calls, folks, and getting into that world government news that Obama's calling for. But Adam, stay there. I want to get your take as a veteran and as a libertarian, your view on the upcoming Iran war, the upcoming peace invasion by the UN of Syria. I mean, when is this going to end? The NDAA, SOPA, everything we talked about is now coming true. It is just wild. I want to get your take on that straight ahead. We'll be right back, folks. Spread the word. Infowars.com. If you believe in this information and want to support its viral spread, go to the InfoWars store at Infowars.com. We've got the new G.I. Joe Infowars T-shirts. We've got the incredible Pro Pure gravity-fed filters available at Infowars.com in the store. We've got a new DVD, Scientists Under Attack, the Don't Tread on Me flag. We've got all sorts of different bumper stickers to help spread the rebellion virally. It's all there, wristbands, citizen rule books in every order. Order online at Infowars.com today. The water filters, the canteens, it's all there. Infowars.com.